Greeting, YouTube. I know that NPR is the station of the status quo. I get that. But they do have things on it that are not necessarily supporting the status quo that I do enjoy listening to. But it also means that sometimes I listen to their status quo news coverage, and I only consider it to be like news in the vaguest sense, because they very much do give a even platform to people that I think we should be completely deplatforming, and that's the GOP. They've been doing a lot of talk about the independent voter in America, people that are not going to vote Republican and not going to vote Democrat. They aren't given, they aren't sure, so they're in the middle. Some of them are even considered split voters, where they might vote for some Democrats and some Republicans. Now, 50 years ago, maybe even 40 years ago, there was a space for split voting. There isn't in 2024. There are no middle of the ground politicians in America. I know our entire political system is skewed heavily to the right. Democrats are a center-right conservative party by any metric that if you, that you could use that is reasonable in the least. Um, and the GOP has decided it's just going to cleave to out and out overt fascism. But there is a difference between the two parties. Not enough, don't get me wrong, but there is a difference between the two parties. And there isn't any way you could decide that you're going to vote for some fascists and you're going to vote for some not fascists, even if those not fascists are, again, status quo center-right conservatives who aren't going to do a lot to change the world, but at least won't actively make it worse. Whereas the fascists, they want to actively make it worse. Um, you can't split that. Fascism is something that you have to confront head on and directly. Fascism, Fascists are not centrists, they're not independents, they're not moderates. They're dangerous. Completely and absolutely dangerous. And if you're willing to vote for even one of them, you're a fascist. You don't want to admit it, but you are comfortable with fascism. There's a quote I heard years and years ago that said that there's 10 people sitting at a table and they allow a Nazi to sit down at that table to have a conversation. You have a table with 11 Nazis. Because nobody gives a Nazi a platform for reasonable discussion. And nobody should be giving a platform to any member of the GOP. We know what they're going to do. They've overtly said it again and again and again. And Democrats again and again and again seem to think that they're not going to do what they say. It's like the Democrats are standing there with the GOP is going, I'm going to do it. I'm 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 going to pull that trigger. As soon as I can, as soon as I've got the votes to do it, I'm and the Democrats are like, oh, he won't do that. Yes, yes, they will. We've seen this. We've seen this since Reagan. They will pull the trigger and then stand there with their foot on the corpse and declare that they're innocent and the corpse deserved it. And for some reason, the Democrats sit back and go, they, maybe he has a good point. We should listen to him. No, you shouldn't. And the fact that there are people willing to vote for this firearm-wielding madman baffles me. And I've come to realize that part of that is my neurodivergence. I have a really strong justice streak. It's why I'm so disgusted with the establishment Democrats. It's why I consider the GOP to be fascists. But it has also given me a clarity of mind to know that you can't entertain a fascist. You can't have conversations with them. You can't have reasonable debate with them. No, we had a really good policy in the 1940s for dealing with fascists. A solid policy. The United States of America and its military were an inherently anti-fascist entity. They were Antifa folks. And I really like the policy we had in the 1940s for dealing with fascists. I think that's something we might want to entertain.